So someone has to answer me this. Like, honestly answer this for me. Is this exactly how straight people find love? Is this what you do? Because I have to say, like, okay, so there's shades of, like, what I imagine, like, Provincetown would be like, or Fire Island, or that one beach in Queens that's apparently pretty gay. But just this absolute insanity. I should maybe mute that 1 second. Just the absolute insanity of, like, I don't even know, because I mean, okay, so Bachelor in Paradise started yesterday, and so I'm watching it, right? And I don't. It's truly a beautiful show in a way that The Bachelor and The Bachelorette could not possibly be, because it is so explicitly about sex and alcohol that, like, there's no pretense, because the Bachelorette and the Bachelor are about similar things, but we have to pretend it's about romance. But what's funny about this is that these people, like, it's all populated with people who have been rejected, right? Like, so who's back? Like, Carly's back. I like Carly. I think she was on Ben's season, and then she was on Bachelor in Paradise last year. And I should note that I watched Bachelor in Paradise last year. I lasted like 2 episodes, and I had to stop because it was so fucked up. But we have her, like, Nick has been runner-up on 2 Bachelorettes. He's there. Who else is there? Like, Grant is there. It's just populated with a bunch of rejects. And then when you get to, like, the people who have been on Bachelor in Paradise, who have been rejected, like, twice, it just gets to be a lot. And yet they still... I mean, I guess if they get... I don't know if they get paid. What do we think their motivation is? But honestly, what I keep coming back to is I just think this is how you straight people are. I just think this is what you do. And if The Bachelor and The Bachelorette are gross sort of statements on the privilege of straight romance and heterosexual... just... ugh, whatever it is you all do. I don't know. I won't want to touch that. This is a gross example of heterosexual just sex on TV. And, you know, it's a little intriguing. And I don't know anything that went on. I was, you know, like, okay, so Chad was back, right? And so that's obviously, like, what you need to talk about. But the question is, do we really need to give Chad more airtime? So the thing is, it's like, Chad's an abusive, horrible person, right? And he's just a bad guy. He seems to be a bad guy. I got a little soft when they introduced him because he was playing with his dog, who he inherited after his mom died, and you know how I feel about dogs. Oh. What if there was a Bachelor in Paradise for dogs? Oh my god. Oh. But here's the question. If you had Bachelor in Paradise for dogs, would it just be humans with their dogs? Or... would it be dogs looking for love? I have a hit show on my hands, people. But I felt bad for Chad when he was with his dog, because he actually seems to love his dog, and his dog likes him. And, I mean, honestly, like, I know, but dogs know things. But I think that Chad is, like, kind of just a douche. I think, like, probably before his mom died, he was a douche, and then his mom died, and he went, like, off the fucking deep end. And so I feel bad for him. And, you know, and he's speaking a lot of truths when he gets kicked off in tonight's episode, right? Like, he talks about how, you know, you guys are doing this to me. And it's true in a way. What they're doing is they see a guy who's incredibly volatile, and they give him this platform to act a fool and to do things that make people believe that he's a horrible person. And all that does is kind of reinforce it, because he doesn't have the coping tools to deal with it, right? So, you know, it's really... so the fact that Chad was such an incredible train wreck on The Bachelorette, and that they would put him on Bachelor in Paradise and then set things up, you know, in a certain way. And obviously it's like, he has to take responsibility for his own actions, right? But, okay. So here's what I don't understand, and I'll admit I didn't pay as close attention to this as I should have been, because I was, you know, chatting with friends and Snapchatting about kangaroo penises with Maria. But he started off with Lace, and Lace is basically the woman equivalent of Chad. Like, can we just say it that? She's insane. She's as insane as he is, except for, I have to say, overall, I think that they're both abusive. I think that she was incredibly verbally abusive to him. And I know that apparently he said something that went too far. And she told him to stop. And I get that. If she said that, he needed to do it. And if he said anything that was offensive, people heard it. I just wasn't watching during that point, so I don't know what he said. And I know he made fun of the girl whose name I don't know, who has an amputated lower half of her arm, and she was on Sean's season. I don't know who Sean is, so I'm sorry. And he deserves to get shit for that. But Lace is an asshole, and it's like she is. And so what I have a problem with is the fact that she was, I don't know, is that we're not making. I don't know how to feel about it, because I don't want her to be treated in the same way as Chad, because I think that Chad is being treated in a really horrible way. Honestly, he deserves a lot of it, but I don't think he deserves. I think that he's put in this. I think they do it to him deliberately. He's being taken advantage of, and I think I think there's something wrong with him mentally, and so it crosses this border right into exploitation, which is what all this is. So I'm a horrible person for watching it, but I can't help it. So, yeah, he goes off the deep end, and he says a lot of crazy shit that Chad says, but, I'd rather talk about Daniel and how insane Daniel is, but in a totally different way. I don't understand how he's Canadian, and I think it's funny, first of all, that he says A, and I feel like right now I sound kind of Canadian. I feel like my Michigan accent is coming out a little bit, so I sound Michiganian, but most people would probably think that don't know the difference and would say Canadian. He seems like he's a mafia guy from Boston, bar none. He's dumb as rocks, dumb as a pile of rocks, and he says really horrible things that are just as demeaning. All the women there are fucking beautiful, and for him to even imply that that's not the case is insane. I mean, it puts him in a totally different place in terms of his ability to assess the world. I do enjoy the quote about the eagles. He wants to settle for an eagle. He doesn't want to settle for a pigeon, although he'll take a pterodactyl, because who wouldn't? So he's pretty crazy. And also boring as fuck. This is a guy who's never gonna find anybody unless they too are as dumb as a rock. So, I mean, what else happened? I think Jubilee's always a charmer. I always liked Jubilee when she was in Ben's season, and it's, unfortunate that she was not picked to be the Bachelorette, but of course we know why. I don't understand people's obsession with Jared. I can objectively see that he's an okay looking guy. I honestly think he looks kind of like a serial killer. He has that look about him. Not in the eyes, but just in his overall, I feel like a lot of serial killers may have looked like Jared in the past, So I don't really understand that. And I like Carly, and I hope the best for her. And who else? I don't even know. This Lizzie person was apparently in Ben's season, but no one knew who she was because she was eliminated. I think the first week. So how did they even how did she even qualify? I don't get it. Evan's there. I thought it was funny because Maria was snapping me about kangaroo penises, and so as soon when she was telling me how their penises work, which by the way, their actual physical penis part. Is that just the penis, right? Well, at the vagina, the whole thing is the vulva, and then part of it's the vagina, and then part of it's the other stuff. I don't know exactly. Is the labia part of the? I shouldn't say this on a queer watches The Bachelor in Paradise, because I feel like I should know this. But the vulva's the whole thing. I feel good about that. But I wonder then, so with male genitalia, is the penis the whole thing? But no, because where's the scrotum? Oh, health class failed me. But kangaroos, the penis part is between the testicles and the anus. It's the only animal, apparently, where that's the case. So I don't understand how kangaroos have sex. But Maria doesn't either, so it's okay. But anyway, Evan. All this to say, Evan is there, and he's the penis guy. there's just a lot of moving pieces. Again, like, Lace is insane. Chad is going to be kicked off, and he's insane. And I think that Grant isn't as cool as I wanted him to be in real life, mostly because he went towards Lace first. I appreciate that he wants complex woman, but really, Lace, really. Oh, and Amanda, not Amanda Braga, but Bachelor Amanda, with the two kids. I just, I hate to say it, but her voice, I can't really with the voice. She seems like a lovely person, though, and apparently she's going to make out with Nick a lot. So he has a lot of experience. So that should be fun for her. So good for her. And I just want Carly and Vinny the barber to get together, even though he's macking on this Lizzie chick. So I don't know. I just think it's going to be a really crazy shit show of a ride. And I'm here for it. And I'm here really to study this show anthropologically as a queer person who, has very limited options as to, like, my dating pool. I guess I could go, because even so, like, because I'm a woman, it's even more limited. Like, if I were a gay man, I feel like I could go to a lot of different beaches, like, and find someone, but it's harder. So I really look at this as kind of this, an extra tour into straight privilege, because I feel like my life is not surrounded enough by that. I feel like I really have to seek out. It's like when I throw a rock on the street and hit a person, they're probably not going to be straight, like they're probably not going to have any kind, I just, like, I don't, I've just never really experienced, what it's like to be straight in the world and to be straight and looking for love. And so I'm really just looking forward to this experience with Bachelor in Paradise on the heels of watching The Bachelorette, to really figure out, like, how you guys find love, And I'm really excited to experience that, because I really think, like, if any group needs that, needs that extra push to find somebody, because, again, throw a rock on the street, you're probably not going to hit someone who's straight. I mean, how do you guys find each other? So I'm really looking forward to what this will be. I'm not necessarily looking forward to the 2 times a week thing, but if it finishes in the summer, it might be fun. So that's about all I have for this first episode, because, I just don't want to analyze the whole chat thing more than it's been analyzed by other people. So just, I'm going to go and write some notes about what I observed about heterosexual mating techniques today, and, hopefully publish a book about it, so other people understand how it's done. I want to help the straight population know how to do it. So I'm definitely looking forward to this. It's going to be great.